Mixtape Podcast.
Yeah, what it do? Mobbing with the crew, nothing new. I thought you knew, thought I was falling off. Blessings keep on falling through. Oh, don't panic, dog. Bro, wait, boo, I can't lose. No, I can't lose.
Before we start, I just want to say, everybody relax. Settle down. Okay? Settle down. Relax. Summer League. It's Summer League. Relax. Okay? Relax. I am Josh So Focused.
And I'm French the Bro host, and this is
The Mixtape Podcast.
And if you didn't know, we're a weekly podcast where we cover the most intriguing Knicks news of the week. If you want to find us on our socials, you can check us out first on Twitter at The Knicks Take, then shoot over to YouTube and search Knicks Take Videos. And if you rather follow on Instagram, you'll be able to find us at The Knicks Take. And lastly, you could check us out on Facebook at Knicks Take Media.
So, we will start off with a cleanup from last week. We were stumbling over trying to figure out Kemba Walker's buyout. So, we're going to start off talking about buyout procedure and explanations of how that works. And we'll also get into what I was talking about, which is called a set-off. So, buyout procedure. When a team and a player want to split or part ways, they mutually agree that the player will be waived. The player's agent and the team negotiate what portion of a player's contract will need to be forfeited to set him free. Sometimes the player has to give everything up to leave. Other times it's just a portion of his salary, just like it was for Kemba Walker, who gave up $20 million over the next 2 years. When a player is waived, he becomes an unrestricted free agent, eligible to sign with any team interested. A player cannot be a free agent until he clears waivers first, which is what we were talking about last week with Kemba Walker clearing waivers. What are waivers? Waivers is the 48-hour period where teams are allowed to bid on a player's contract. And if they win the bid, that player no longer enters unrestricted free agency, which means that a team's bid for the opportunity to pay for that player's contract. Obviously, nobody wanted to pay Kemba Walker the $30+ million contract that he had before he was waived, so he cleared the waivers. Instead, he signs with the team that placed the winning bid. The team making the bid has to be able to fit the player's existing contract into its payroll or an unused salary cap exception. A team has to be able to sign a player with its own cap space, with which no team's actually having that much cap space. No team could claim him on waivers. The old team is only on the hook to pay a player whatever they've agreed to. Teams are sometimes allowed to save money by setting off a portion of whatever the player's new contract is, but the right to set off is usually waived as part of buyout negotiations. Now, what I was talking about last week was the set off. All right. If there was an agreement to set off Kemba's contract, then whatever they signed for, that would go towards the old contract. Now, there's a reminder about a set-off process that I found on Twitter, which basically said that French was right. He made most of his money back in this process. Yeah. The process where it's not automatically in every buyout / waiver. In addition, a set-off is not applied until after the season completes. So, OKC received no further cap relief outside of what they agreed to in that Kemba Walker buyout process. So, hopefully, some of you who were confused after hearing us last week or didn't really understand the buyout process enlightened you a little bit. Now, let's get to it.
the Summer League.
Everybody relax.
This was right after we finished recording, right? We finished recording. I had a bold prediction. Now you may proceed.
Well, your bold prediction was that who? Well, actually, you asked the question.
No. Just keep reading.
Who was gonna have a monster game because everyone had one, a breakout game. And in this game, the Knicks beat the Cleveland Cavaliers with monster performances from Obi Toppin, Miles McBride, and lastly Quentin Grimes, who led the Knicks in scoring and had his breakout performance, which French predicted.
I wrote that down before you even got a chance to look at it in pre-pro, just so you could read it on air.
I mean, I looked at it and I thought about skipping it. But
Yeah.
I said, you know what?
Come on now.
If you listened last week, you know French predicted it, so whatever. They had control of this game from the beginning of the game and eventually built their lead to 22 points. Quentin Grimes played more aggressively than at any point before in Summer League. He shot the lights out, 6 of 14 from 3, pulled a little bit of everything out of the bag. Grimes finished with 28 points, 6 boards, 4 assists, and 1 steal. Now, I was watching this game, and it was boring to me because it was clear the Knicks were going to win. Even when the score was going back and forth, I was like, yeah, I'm not really.
Yeah. Or Evan Mobley wasn't even playing.
But I watched the replays before we recorded, and I was like, "Oh, you know what? Grimes, he had some stuff. He did some things that I'd never seen him do before this game. He had a little, dribble game. He had a little driving game, and he shot crazy. But for some reason, after watching this game, I still think that I liked Miles McBride's performance better
Because he's more efficient.
Yeah, it seemed like everything he put up was going in. Had a low-key but super efficient game and his lone start at the point guard position. And he still played less minutes than Grimes. Shot an amazing 64% from field, 62% from 3. I said 64 and 62. That
kind of makes me scared a little bit. I'm not going to lie.
Scared for him or scared for the league?
Both. I'm scared for him because you don't really see that type of production from rookies.
Right.
And you just know that there's if you keep going so high and playing so well, there's going to be a drop-off point at some point, right?
There is for everybody.
It's going to be steep, probably.
There was for IQ last year, so yeah, I'm not too worried about that though. I'm not too concerned about that because he's not somebody that we're going to be relying on a night in, night out basis, in my opinion.
But even still, even if we did have to rely on him, if at some point during the season there's injury, even if there is a big drop off, I'm confident in him still being on the court because I know these guys that we watched in the Summer League, but him especially, even when he's not scoring, he's still impactful on the court. He's still feisty on the defensive end, picking up full court.
Yep.
He's still going to be moving the ball around, making the right play. And that's what I really want to see more so than 6 for 6 from 3. You know what I'm saying? I'd rather see you understanding what's going on in the flow of the game, getting your teammates involved, playing defense, getting stops, and just playing basketball the way that you want to play as a team. Because that's what's going to carry you through the playoffs. That's what's going to carry you through the season.
Yeah, we'll get into the overall of Deuce's game, but I really felt like this game, even though Quentin had more points, even though he had an overall game with the points and the boards and the assists, I just felt like Deuce was more important and was the better player, even though the plus minus doesn't agree with me. I just felt like Deuce was the guy outside of Grimes and Obi, but I thought Deuce was the guy that really showed to be the most important guy on this court.
You know why I disagree with that? Because Deuce was that guy in the first half.
Yeah.
And he only scored 4 points in the second half. So yeah, he had a big impact on his game, but I wouldn't say that he was the most important because of the fact that it wasn't throughout the entire game. And even with the other game when he scored 22 and 6 for 6 from 3, he had a slow start in the first half and had a monster second half. I want to see him be able to pick up where he leaves off and continue having that dominance on the court. And then that's when I feel like he's beginning to be like that key player on the team.
While I understand what you're saying, I always feel like even when Deuce ain't scoring, he's doing something on the court to help the team win.
For sure.
So, yeah, you're right. He always fills it up when it comes to scoring in a half instead of for the full game. I don't know if that's by choice. Mm-hmm. I don't know if that's because he's streaky. Mm-hmm. I don't know. But I don't know if that's like a team concept where it's like, okay, now you've got yours. Let's let the other guys, let's get them involved. I don't know what it is, but I just always get the sense that Deuce is in control of his game, both offensively and defensively, and that's I like that.
Yeah, I like it too.
Now Grimes definitely came out like he was trying to shut me up.
Yep. With
these last 3 games that he played. But overall, I still think that Deuce was the better player. So I mentioned him earlier, but Obi continued his streak of good play. He was the only veteran from the main ball club with IQ being out with a groin strain. Obi had 21 points, 4 boards, 2 assists, and a block.
Consistent.
Like I said, there's not much to really say. Like,
he was doing what he wanted out there.
I wasn't really interested in this game. There was nobody on the other team that I wanted to see. Unlike the next game against the Atlanta Hawks,
where the Knicks have a battle with Sharif Cooper,
our boy,
and the rest of the Atlanta Hawks. Jalen Johnson didn't play this game, and this one had us hyped, even though it didn't really count towards anything since we were statistically out of the playoff race to compete for the Summer League championship.
We were out from game 1.
Yeah, because the 2 teams were undefeated in the end, right?
Yep.
Yeah, that's whack. But we were able to get our first look at Sharif Cooper. And me personally, I was kind of concerned that we were going to have to watch our first Sharif Cooper revenge game for not drafting him.
Because even though this was our first look at him against the Knicks, we've been keeping tabs on him.
Yeah.
Coming into this game.
Yeah. This is the first time I'm watching him live, though. I was watching the highlights.
Right. But you could even if you're looking at the stats, Sharif was doing everything that we thought that he could do before this game.
Yeah, this game, I lost all concern over Sharif having some type of revenge game the minute I saw Miles McBride setting the tone defensively, picking him up full court, and immediately getting the ball out of his hand and making him uncomfortable throughout the entire game. It was just from the beginning of the game, and then Quentin Grimes is picking up where he left off with 9 early points to start the game, and then Miles comes back and backs him up and has 8 points to start the quarter. I'm just like, I see what type of game this is about to be. This was the Miles McBride revenge game on a team that beat his team in the playoffs before he got there. He ain't like that. And he don't like how all these Knicks fans was wanting Sharif Cooper, and we ended up having to settle for him. So he wanted to shut all that down, and he had Sharif on and smashed this game.
The whole game too. They pulled Sharif and didn't even bring it back in. Like once the game was getting close to the end, I was like, man, what do you have? Like 4 points or something. Like, he didn't score double digits. He couldn't pass the ball. He couldn't do nothing.
Yeah, he just went on the bench and was holding his leg like, oh no.
He got dunked on by Deuce. Like, come on. Like,
yeah.
Deuce ain't have to do him like that. He
Yeah.
did him dirty.
He had a point to prove, and his coach was in the crowd that game too.
He dunked on him, and then Sharif came back on the other end, and he got baited into an air ball three. I was like,
Yeah. Yeah, and every time Deuce got the ball, he was attacking him. From the minute he touched the ball, he's like, oh, I got Sharif on me. I'm about to score every time I touch the ball. But this was in the first half.
Right. Yeah, Deuce, this is another game where I felt like Deuce had his fingers on the game throughout the entire game. Now, he quickly was back for this game.
Yeah, he struggled
badly. And maybe it was still an issue in regards to the groin that he made him miss the last game. But we got to talk about quickly later on. But yeah, he had a bad game. Even Obi didn't really have a great game.
But the thing about them two, I was saying, like, yeah, they struggled offensively mightily. Like, the whole first half, I think Quickly was 0 for 10 from 3. And then in the second half, he picked it up and hit them threes that were actually important at the time because Atlanta was starting to make a little run and they were starting to make a comeback. Even though they were struggling, they still stayed the course and was playing the same game. They didn't start to panic. They didn't start to force some stupid shots trying to get into rhythm. They stayed the course, kept taking the shots that they know that they should be taking. Quickly was still steady on the assists, still steady on the passing. He still led I'm pretty sure he led the Summer League. I could be wrong. With 7 assists, he had another 7 assist game.
He was number 2.
Who was number 1? It don't even matter.
Peyton Pritchard.
Okay. And he had 6 rebounds and was still a plus 14 on the court. The game ain't all about efficiency and scoring. So if Quickly, who was the spark plug off the bench where he would just come in and start scoring immediately, and that's all you would look for him to do, to see him come into the Summer League and still have a game where he's having an impact even though his shot's not falling, I feel like that was important a lot too.
It's important, yes. We need to be able to see Quickly come in and get 7 assists, 8 assists against Summer League players. Like, we need to see that because now we can, all right, you've got the baseline. Now we need to see you do that against NBA players, against the best of the best, or not even the best of the best, against the bench units. If you do that against the bench units, even if your shot's not falling, which a lot of times when Quickly shot wasn't falling, he was practically useless. Even when your shot's not falling, you can still be a threat to drive and kick or to kick from the 3-point line. And that we need him to do that. We need him to do that in order for this team, in order for him to take a leap, and in order for the team to take a leap. Now, the reason I was able to tell you that Peyton Pritchard was number 1 is because I had those stats up because I was trying to see if before this game, Sharif Cooper was ahead of Quick. He had like 8 assists a game, and because there's only 4, 5, 6 games in that these teams actually play, that one game makes all the difference.
Yep.
And yeah, after this game, I'm trying to find it and pull it up. But after this game, yeah, Quickly leapfrogged Sharif. I think Sharif was number 1 at a certain point. And Peyton Pritchard must have had a good assist game because I don't even remember. I wasn't really following him. I was really just following Sharif and Quickly because they were top 2 or 3.
Peyton Pritchard dropped 92 point a Drew League game, I think, and then another 60-point game, and then came back to Summer League for the championship game.
Crazy. Yeah, Sharif had 2 assists in this game.
On Smash.
So you know that before this game, he was assisting well to have a 2-assist game and only fall down by like 1 assist.
And them 2 assists that he got were tough assists. Like, they were really nice. Yeah,
people were talking about, Sharif Cooper, this is why he fell. We knew what his weaknesses were. He's not going to be a great defender because of his size and his shots questionable.
It was his one bad game.
It was one bad game. he also didn't have any really good NBA players. Like, he was making a lot of it wasn't even crazy passes, but his passes where it's like, yo, he created that out of nothing, and he got it perfectly to whoever was on the corner or wherever they were, and they were just bricking the shots.
Yeah.
Like, he could have easily had 10 assists this game, but because his teammates kept missing, and because he had Deuce on him, it literally made anything he did on the court pretty much useless. I still like Cooper, especially when he's next to guys who can hit the shot. But when he's got a defender that's going to dog him the way that Deuce was, yeah, probably not going to be a good night. Now, if you got somebody who plays lax defense, Sharif's going to fill it up. I know this is supposed to be a Knicks specific, but because we liked Sharif, I still want to kind of talk about him and then move on. Reef finished with 15 points per game, 33% from three, 46% from the field, which is not bad numbers considering how badly he played against the Knicks.
Yeah.
Considering how badly he played against us, when he shot 0% from three on 2 3-point attempts, 27%. To have those numbers after 5 games or whatever,
-17.
It was, it goes to show you that it's just one game. That did a number to his overall stats, and his overall stats still don't look terribly bad. So I still think he's an NBA player in this league, and I still want to see how the things are going to pan out for him over the season. I don't think he's going to get too many big minutes, but
I think this tells us more
we'll
about Deuce than it tells us about Sharif. Like, Miles McBride just took over this game, and he took his heart.
Yeah. Yeah, this was even though Grimes had another amazing game.
He found his rhythm.
Which, even though he had another amazing game, it still showed Deuce is just that guy, and that's why I said I think he's going to be one of those guys that are going to get those minutes over Grimes. You were saying last week you think Grimes is going to get, but I don't think he will. I think it's going to be Deuce all day.
Grimes is bigger though. Deuce got to play ahead of all-stars.
Grimes is 6'5", which is ideal two guard size. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta, if you're gonna choose who's gonna play behind RJ and Alec Burks, then yeah, Grimes is that guy. But I could see Tibbs being like, all right, let's throw Kev in there because he's bigger, because he can shoot the three, because he's athletic, because he could do stuff in the fast break. Would I be supportive of that? No, I would rather see Grimes out there than Kev, but I wouldn't be mad at it either because I think Kev still can prove shit in this league.
Yeah.
But I because Kev can play the 3 or the 4, and because he's bigger, I just don't think it bodes well for Grimes because there's so many guys ahead of him on the depth chart, and if you think Miles McBride is the better option out of the two of them,
there's a lot of guards ahead of him though. Kemba,
there are
Rose,
D-Rose, quickly.
And they're both small guards, so it's like you're gonna play Deuce alongside other small guards. It's not gonna be a great recipe for your defense.
Yeah, but we're figuring that both Rose and Kemba are going to be hurt at some point this season, or they're going to need to rest. I don't want to put it in the air, but they're both over 30. They both have injury histories. I'm not going to say that they're going to play all 82 games and play in the playoffs. I have to assume that they're going to at least be rested, and that's when minutes will open up for Deuce. That's what I'm thinking.
Chris Paul about to be 40.
Which one of these dudes is Chris Paul?
But we talking about age. I'm saying if Chris Paul, who has a history of leg injuries, and if D Rose, who was able to play throughout last season after all them history, the history of knee injuries he's had, I'm not going to just count on them getting injured.
Let's not compare D Rose's injury history to Chris Paul's injury history.
It was worse.
Like, Chris Paul is injury prone, but that's not the same as having to be out for like 2 full seasons due to your knees. Even Kemba's leg injury isn't the same way as D Rose's is, but it's one of those things that you're always going to have to be on the lookout for. I don't think we always going to have to be on the lookout for Chris Paul's injuries. Like, those are things that happen within sports, within basketball, that you get hurt and you come back from. I don't think that's fair to compare.
Chris Paul's been hurt every year.
Absolutely. It's something different, though. And as he gets older, it's the thing that you look out for. So you kind of making my point for me. Like, yeah,
no, I'm not.
When you
think
Phoenix is not, you think Phoenix is not going to be like, listen, we got lucky last year. We have to be on the lookout for keeping Chris Paul healthy. Like, of course they're doing that. They're not going to be like, yeah, we can play Chris Paul 40 minutes a night and he's going to be fine. No, he's damn near 40. It's always going to be on the back of your mind because of their age.
The reason why I'm saying it's not is mainly due to the fact that we have so much depth on the court. I mean, on the roster. So there's going to be a lot of like games where D Rose and Kemba Walker aren't going to be playing longer than 30 minutes because of the fact that we have so many options on the team that can provide meaningful minutes and not have to worry about getting them guys back on the court. Quickly could just prove that he's hot one night and both of them guys could just rest. And RJ could just take over. Randall could just take over. And next thing you know, Obi is not going to be playing as much, or Obi takes over. And Randall's like, we have so much pieces on this team that I'm not really concerned about injury unless it's something like a freak accident, because I don't see too many players that's going to be playing a whole lot of minutes, at least until the playoffs.
We're talking about Tibbs here, bro. Like, Tibbs likes to get comfortable with his lineup and sticks with it.
Yeah,
if somebody gets hurt, if whether he did or he didn't, he does what he does for a reason.
To win.
It's not because he doesn't have depth. Like, we've seen him not play guys not because he doesn't have depth, but because he's comfortable with the guys he's been playing with. Like, we've seen Elfrid Payton start for every single game that he was healthy for. And why? For no reason. But he's comfortable with him, so he throws him out there. Like,
I think it was more so because he's comfortable with Quickly coming off the bench, and he didn't want to play Quickly too much, so he had to play Alfred. Yeah,
but he didn't have to play Alfred.
He trusted Alfred more than Frank.
Like, we can hypothesize about the why, but there were times where he played him. He didn't have to. But Frank had good games. Like,
yeah, but
Frank had good games, and then as soon as Alfred was healthy, all right, we're gonna throw Elf back out there. Like,
it's the reason for that. Elf is on the team right now. Frank isn't.
Listen, I'm tired of talking. I don't want to talk about Frank until later. Like,
I'm just providing the facts. That's all.
Like, Alfred was trash, and
still got another contract.
He got played because of how Tibbs likes to coach.
So
we just have to. He's on the Suns because he's a veteran, and that's pretty much it. And they were like, "Oh, you know what, Alfred? We've had history of you playing a certain way. Let's see if we can get you back to that, except coming off of the bench." But we never really put Elf on the bench, had him coming off the bench until the playoffs, by which time it was way too late. But anyway, I didn't even bring up Deuce had another game where he shot efficiently 70% from the field, 62.5% from three, which is scary. You thought that last game he played efficiently?
Yeah.
He said, I got more. Before I forget, French, did you happen to see the mid-range jumpers in these games?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it this game. I every time he shot a midi, I'm just like, all right, I'm never saying nothing about him in mid-ranges again. It's over.
Yeah, it was like he was purposely hunting the mid-range because it wasn't like a real midi. It was like foot on the line three. Like 3 times he did that, either in this game or the Cavs game.
They listened to the pod.
Like he could have stepped back and he didn't even have to step back really because most of them were movement shots. He could have just stayed behind the 3-point line and shot it and probably made it. He said, "Nah, I'm gonna stand on the line and shoot it."
can't convince me that they did not listen to that last episode. I'm convinced.
Because everything we said, they tried to shut us up. Right?
Every single thing we said, they're like, huh? What's next game?
Oh man, and Grimes also had a great game. He shot 58% from the field and 50% from three.
Led the team in scoring again.
Yeah, he had himself a night. These dudes, 26 points.
Mm-hmm.
Deuce had 19.
Yeah.
Quickly nutted his way into 14. Pause on 21% from three, 16% from the field. Went 3 for 18.
Yeah.
Like 3 for 14 from three. Like quick, bro.
Obi struggled too. We're not going to just single him out. Obi only had 11 points. He had 9 rebounds with it though, but
yeah, he shot 33% from the field and 25% from three. This was a game where it's like some of the other dudes who we were like, we're not really going to talk about. They showed up. Wayne Selden, MJ Walker. Like,
Yo,
they showed
Walker.
up.
I like his game a lot. Hold on, let me look and see who the other guy I like. I wrote his name down just for this one moment. I want to give him a shout out. You're not going to be on the roster, Trey Davis. Ooh, them two right there. I'm glad MJ did get a. We're gonna speak about it later, probably, but he got a contract from the Knicks, and I'm happy about that one. I don't know about Amir Sims. I ain't see too much of him.
Knicks were able to finish this game scoring 104 to Atlanta's 85. So I said Cooper finished with like 4 points, but he had 6 points.
Yeah.
From the. So now that Summer League is complete, Knicks missed out on the championship game, even though they played one more game than every other team. Let's start off with the overall thoughts. And I'm going to start off with Obi. Obi was clearly our best player from start to finish. Mm-hmm. He only had one bad game, which was the Atlanta Hawks game. Mm-hmm. Unless I'm forgetting something else. But the Atlanta Hawks game, he scored 11 points. Pretty much every other game, he scored at least 19 points. Shot well from three for the most part. Rebounded. He got some blocks in. He did some assists. He had 3 steals in the last game. Like, Obi was the overall, like, he was the one player that I could say might have been too good for Summer League because of how consistent he was, because of how dynamic he was offensively, and he didn't kill us on defense.
Yeah.
He was obviously our best player.
He looked like he can score whenever he wanted to. He was just trying to do it within the offense and not a set of crazy shots like he probably would have a year ago.
Right.
So I'm kind of glad that we kind of got to skip his rookie year Summer League and got to see him after a full season, because now it's more so just for practice and getting a rhythm just to get him ready for the season, more so than just showing what he's capable of. And
Obi was the 7th.
He was impressive.
Well, led the Summer League, was 7th in Summer League in points per game with 21 points per game. Averaged 44% from the field. Mm-hmm. Averaged 34% from three. 89% from the free throw line. Had 1.3 assists per game. 8.3 rebounds per game. And almost a block per game. And 1 steal a game. And
was first team All Summer League.
Oh, I didn't even know they did that.
Mm-hmm. First team All Summer League. Him and Quickly.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about Quickly next. What do you think about Quickly Summer League?
He showed that he's been working as a full-time point guard, and he's working to develop them skills so that he can eventually be the starting point guard of the Knicks. That's what I felt like was his purpose for coming to Summer League this year. And he's going to have
I'm sorry to say, he's not going to be the Knicks starting point guard.
He's going to have 2 all-star point guards, former MVP, to learn this season. And what more could you ask for? A scoring guard learning from two of the best scoring guards of their generation. Mm-hmm. So, and on top of that, he has Tibbs as his coach, which is going to help sharpen him up on the defensive end.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm more comfortable saying that eventually, maybe not this year, maybe not next year, but quickly is going to be the starting point guard of the New York Knicks eventually. And if he's not, he's going to be the starting point guard of another team.
I know it sounds like hate, but here's why I say that I don't think Quickly is going to be that starting point guard for the Knicks. This summer league showed me that how good he looks as a point guard is heavily reliant on his ability to score. That doesn't mean that he can't get assists. He averaged 7.8 assists per game in summer league. He was second in summer league in assists per game. And had he not missed that Cleveland Cavalier game, maybe he could have been number one for all we know. He could have, got 15 assists in that game and he would have been number one or something like that. But especially in that Hawks game, I felt like I just would rather see someone else run the point than Quick. I want him to play make. Don't get me wrong. I want him to have a part in running the offense. But do I want him to be that number one guy bringing the ball down and running the offense every single time? I haven't seen anything from him that makes me comfortable to say that yet. And the reason for that is because I only liked him as a point guard when he was scoring. And in this summer league, he was probably our streakiest player. He had, 2 good games. He had 1 amazing game. And then he had, 2 bad ones. And he missed the game.
Same could be said about Grimes.
Well, since you brought him up, I guess we can talk about Grimes next. I like Grimes. I don't know if I can say the same can be said about Grimes. But maybe. Maybe I can. Because Quickly started off with a bad game. He came back with a good game. Then he came back with an amazing game. He played a good game. Then he got hurt. And then he played bad again. So he started and ended with bad games.
But let's not call those bad games. He had bad
Bad offensive games.
Because that, even though he wasn't scoring the best, he was still providing. Right. He wasn't turning the ball over a bunch. He wasn't causing the team any harm. He just wasn't making shots.
And before I forget, Quickly averaged 20.2 points per game on 33% shooting, which is not ideal. 24% from 3, which is also terrible. He averaged 90% from the free throw line, and he got to the line. He averaged 6.4 attempts per game, which is really good. 4 rebounds, 8 assists, 1.5 steals per game. Those were his stats for Summer League. But Quentin Grimes, what I was trying to say about Grimes was, it seemed just like he just needed to get into the flow of playing his game in the NBA. And once he figured out his game and his role, he took off. He took off. After game four, he scored 15 points. And then after that, he had 2 really good shooting games. And it wasn't just the shooting. It wasn't just him shooting from 3. He did some mid-range. He drove to the lane. He rebounded. He stole the ball. He passed. He had himself a good final 3 games.
But he's been doing all the other things, like the rebounding.
Yeah.
He's been doing that throughout Summer League. He just had his
and the
first
defending.
showing. And the defense, yeah. This was just his coming out party on the offensive end. And I knew it was just a matter of time. And then once I saw he had that 15-point game and he was looking a lot more comfortable, that it was easy to just predict that his next game, he was going to show out. And then after that game, it's just like he's comfortable now. He just has to be more efficient. And she showed that in the very last game. So I'm comfortable betting on Quentin Grimes because the guys who are able to just be solid in every area of the game and can shoot the lights out. Like, I've been holding back a comparison ever since the very first game of Quentin Grimes because I don't want to be that guy that's just making wild comparisons. But when I see him, it almost makes me think, like, every single time I see him on the court, of Klay Thompson. And when he gets the ball and you hear the commentators every time he touches the ball yelling, shoot, it's a reason for that. Because even though he's not scoring efficiently and he's not hitting all his threes, he just has that form that it's going to go in eventually. And once he starts connecting, it's hard to stop. And we saw that in the final 2 games.
We did. Grimes averaged 15.3 points per game. Shot 41% from the field, which is good. It's all right, actually. It's okay. But the 40.7% from 3, that's good. And he also averaged 6 boards a game, 3 assists per game. Yeah. And that just goes to show how he can help out in other areas of the court. I was trying to see if there was anything that Quentin Grimes did really well, like compared to other players in Summer League. I ended up looking at minutes per game and found out Obi Toppin led Summer League in minutes.
For a reason.
And then number 3 was Quickly, and then number 4 was Quentin Grimes. I don't know if Quentin Grimes is for a reason, but
he's going to be in that rotation.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about the rotation later. And as you indicated in the last pod, Deuce and Quentin Grimes' stats, for the most part, line up. Except for minutes played. And efficiency. which is why I'm like so high on Deuce and Miles McBride.
Can't focus on efficiency.
I wanted to see. Well, you can't really focus on any of this because it's Summer League. But from what I saw on the court and the efficiency, I just wanted to see Miles get more minutes. But because of the position he plays and because they were trying to prioritize Emmanuel Quickly's point guard play, the minutes had to come from somewhere, and it ended up coming from Deuce. All in all, though, I said Grimes had 15.3 points per game. Deuce had 15.2 on 53.2% shooting, which is amazing. 50% from 3, which is amazing.
Incredible.
87.5% from free throw,
which is damn near almost incredible as well.
Right.
Deuce had an impressive
3.5 rebounds, 3.5 assists, 1.3 blocks, 1.3 steal. No, that's 1.3 turnovers, excuse me. And he had less than a block a game, but 1.3 steals. He was my favorite player in Summer League, honestly. Him, Obi, and Jericho Sims. Those are my 3 favorites. But we'll hold off on Jericho. We'll leave him for last.
I wish we could have gotten to see more of Rokas.
Yeah. So Rokas was only supposed to play in 3 Summer League games, and that's what he did. I think if the Knicks were going to be like, no, we'll let you play on the main roster, he would have stayed.
Yeah.
But we are already so guard heavy that
it's tough.
It's tough. And I don't know how we're going to have Derrick Rose for 2 to 3 years. We're going to have Kemba for 2 years. Quickly is still here. Deuce is going to be here. I don't see how we're going to open up any spots for Rokas to get a shot next year.
We don't know.
Unless we offer him like a 2-way contract next year, which is going to be like, it's going to suck for him.
We don't know for sure that just because they have the contract doesn't mean that they're going to play it out. So
unless somebody gets traded,
or if Rokas just proves that he can be that guy off the bench, like have a solidified role, and he's providing something that Derrick Rose no longer can provide, or something that Kemba can no longer provide due to like just not being able to play to that level, then yeah, I can see that happening.
Yeah, we'd have to have this year would have to be pretty bad for me to say that Rokas is going to get minutes next year, because it is going to be dependent on what you said. Kemba not being able to provide something, D Rose being not being able to provide something. It's gonna have, and if that's the case, we're not gonna win as many games as we want as fans. No, it is true, because this is a lot of teams got better in the East.
Yeah,
and
we have continuity.
In order for us to, I'm not even looking at fourth seed. I just want us to be within the top 6. And in order for us to be within the top 6, we can't be reliant on players outside of the point guard position to keep us in there. Because the reason why we felt like we could do better last year was if we had better point guard play, or if we had better guard play overall. So if both D Rose and Kemba are, or one of the two are not able to provide, and now we have to ask the other point guard to fill in that role on a larger basis, that's not going to bode well for us, especially going into playoffs, because we've seen what that was like last year when we had to rely on D Rose playing heavy minutes.
Yeah, but we have more talent all around this year.
I agree, but so do a lot of other teams.
Yeah, but them other teams, I feel like the problem with them other teams that have gotten more talent on the roster is those guys that they picked up are going to be core pieces of their rotation. The guys that we picked up are going to be secondary players. Our main players are just going to get better. The main rotation isn't going to be too much different outside of 2 players. And if we get great rookie play, then yeah, that's going to be coming off the bench. But we have the continuity. We got all the guys that's used to playing together. A lot of these guys, like the Chicago Bulls, they got guys like DeRozan, Lonzo, and all them guys who are going to have to learn to play together. Guys in Orlando are going to have to learn to play together. The guys in Washington are going to have to learn to play together. Only the top teams in Philly don't even know what the situation is going to be. In my opinion, they getting worse. So with continuity and added talent on the roster, I can see us easily beating a whole lot of teams in the East in the beginning of the year, at least.
You kind of tripped over yourself in your argument there, because you said, oh, we're only including 2 players in the starting lineup. That's 40% of the starting lineup, which the starting lineup gets the bulk of the minutes under Tom Thibodeau. So that's a big chunk. You changed a very significant part of the core, right? But
the 2 pieces that are entering the starting lineup played together last year.
That is
so
true.
They have chemistry.
They have chemistry, and I don't foresee this being an issue at all, because I think that they fit this team like a glove offensively anyway.
Nah, even
I'm
defensively.
not worried. Yes, but I could see us struggling defensively. I'm not going to say that it's going to happen, but I can see us struggling defensively with Kemba and Evan Fournier.
Team defenses, they're going to help each other out.
Yes,
yeah, Kemba doesn't have the size, but
you just want to disagree with me.
I'm not predicting it. I'm just disagreeing.
I just said I can see it.
Yeah.
I'm not saying it's going to happen.
Okay.
I said I can foresee it. I'm not predicting it though. I'm not going to say we're going to get worse defensively, but if we did, I'm not going to be shocked. So let's move on from that, because we still have to talk about. We didn't even really say anything about Rokas, but Rokas played tentatively his first game. In the next 2 games, he's got more comfortable, and I could see him being an NBA player, but he didn't get enough minutes for us to really evaluate that. I'm going to look forward to seeing what he does for us next season. That's all I got to say about Rokas Jokubaitis.
Yeah. Vildoza, we got to see for a few games, but we didn't see much. We didn't see much out of him before he got
injured. And in the
injured.
second game, he didn't even really play. He played, 4 minutes?
Mm-hmm.
So we really don't know anything about Luka Vildoza. I am curious to know how long he had that injury. I don't know if it's something where it was a lingering thing from the Olympics, because he didn't finish the Olympics great either, and then he came into summer league and he didn't play that well in summer league. So I don't know if that is something where he looks worse than he actually is because he was trying to play hurt,
or jet lag,
or he was playing tired. But I kind of want to see what he does for the rest of the season, or what the Knicks are going to do with him for the rest of the season.
Quick question. Rokas didn't play during the Olympics, did he?
I don't think so. I'll have to look that up.
Because the time difference from Japan and Las Vegas is probably kind of crazy. So I can... those are trying to just adjust based on that alone. It's like a 12-hour difference, isn't it? Or a 9-hour difference?
I can't figure that out.
Time difference.
So Rokas played in the qualifying tournament, and I don't think his team made it into the Olympics. But this is just a quick
Japan is 16 hours ahead of Las Vegas.
Yeah, that's a crazy time difference.
So I could, like, when I realized that, and I'm just thinking back to Vildoza and seeing how he was just playing in the Olympics, and now he's traveling over to Las Vegas where the time difference is 16 hours and having to play immediately, probably. I can understand why he struggled.
Yeah, I think they got knocked out before.
Yeah, he got knocked out in the qualifiers.
Yes, they did. They got knocked out in the qualifiers, so we won't even talk about it. So yeah, he didn't really play in the Olympics. He got a lot of free time before
to recover.
Yep. We said Luka didn't play well, great. And lastly, the last guy that we said we will talk about is Jericho break the walls down Sims.
I like Jericho Sims a lot. I don't know why, I wanted to see him more than everybody else, but I just love what he brought to the Summer League team. Without him, you can just tell the difference. Even though he wasn't, a shot-blocking maniac like Mitch and Nerlens, the guys that we used to seeing, he just had a presence in the paint. He had a presence on, whenever he was setting screens. He had a presence when boxing out. He wasn't consistent with, getting rebounds and boxing out, in my opinion, because a lot of times he would let them get offensive rebounds because he wouldn't jump and stuff like that. But for the most part, he was just solid. He was everything that you want from your backup big man. So I was really impressed with him, and he jumps out the gym.
Yeah, I see a lot of people comparing him to Mitch. Relax.
He don't have that second jump in him that Mitch does.
No, and even though he plays very good compared to where he was picked, there are a lot of technical stuff that it's not even technical stuff. There's a lot of stuff in regards to recognition on the basketball court defensively that I noticed that even rookie year Mitch was better at it than Jericho Sims.
Mm-hmm.
I still like him a lot. He still was very efficient. He still was grabbing boards. He still was blocking shots. And if he wasn't blocking shots, he was making it very difficult for players on the other team to convert the basket.
Catching
nothing. I got catching lobs, jumping way. We didn't even talk about that was against the Hawks, right?
Yeah.
He caught that. He looked like he was still going up. Yeah, he was like, "Damn, I might hit my head on the backboard."
He like, "Damn, I forgot I got to get back down.
I forgot I have to descend now."
Yeah, I'm not supposed to fly on them. They're not supposed to see me do this.
He got up there, and if he can figure out that aspect of the game as far as when to jump and when not to, he's going to be
a problem.
He's going to be a problem either on as a starter or off the bench. He already is ahead of rookie year Mitch when it comes to setting screens.
Mm-hmm.
He can catch. catch lobs basically in the same area as Mitch, despite being 2 or 3 inches shorter than him. I would love to see that be our our starter and backup lineup, in 2 or 3 years, assuming that we keep Mitchell Robinson after next year.
It popped into my head why I think I like him so much. Because I just see Jericho Sims being that type of big man that throughout the regular season, he going to put up 8 points, 9 rebounds. He's not going to do nothing spectacular. He's just going to play his role. But in the playoffs, when it's crunch time and you are just looking for your big man to just be solid, and then you end up seeing some people star into their role, I feel like Jericho Sims is going to be the type of big man that can just have a huge playoff game, a huge playoff series, and just shine in the playoffs. Remember like how Bismack Biyombo did on the Raptors that one playoffs where he just went crazy and got a big contract in the summer?
Mm-hmm.
Jericho Sims reminds me of that type of big man. I can see that from him. Like if we get to the playoffs in 2-3 years and he's the backup big man because Nerlens is on another team, we got Mitch and him, and then he just shows up crazy in the playoff one game and wins us a series. I'm just like, damn. I called it on the Knicks Take Podcast, episode 22. But yeah,
a lot of people calling stuff today. My homeboy was like, "You're gonna remember August 21st, 2021. The Knicks are gonna make the conference finals." I'm like,
I wouldn't be surprised. And that comes off as like Knicks fan, like what's that thing that they be calling us? Delusion. That we always swear we're going to make the finals. No, this year I can 100% see us getting to a conference finals if everything goes our way. Like, you see how everything went the Hawks' way last year to the point where they got to see the Sixers in the second round, and then Ben Simmons just didn't show up, and then they got to get past them in 6 and go to the Eastern Conference Finals. I can see something like that for us.
I can see it. Am I going to go as far as predicting it? No. I'm not that confident in this team.
Nah.
Specifically because we need to see what certain players do. If they take the leap, I will 100% make that prediction before the All-Star game. But until we see what happens when this team comes together in the first few weeks, I'm not gonna jump out the window just yet.
I could predict that we get home court in the playoffs, though. I'm comfortable making that prediction.
I'm not sure I'm comfortable making that prediction either. But it's not far-fetched. We did it last year, so can we get there again? If everybody makes the appropriate adjustments, or not even make the leap, but just play the way that they did last season, yeah. Because I think we've improved on the margins.
We got
so
better.
That should be that. No, we definitely got better. But yeah, that's why I say improved on the margins, because it wasn't like we did a big home run swing or whatever. Like, we got Kemba, we got Evan Fournier, and it seems like all of the rookies that are coming to play for us this season, they're all going to contribute in some form or fashion if they get playing time.
Even if they don't get playing time in practice, they're going to provide a spark that's going to have to light a fire under the guys who are playing. They're going to have better competition to practice against, which is going to help them in the NBA games throughout the regular season and help them in the playoffs. Especially Deuce. Deuce in the practice facility going up against Kemba. That's preparing Kemba to go up against a thigh. So what's some other good defenders? Marcus Smart. When he has to face them guys, he's used to practicing against Deuce McBride and Quentin Grimes. Like, bro.
Yeah, that's not going to be easy practice.
It's not going to be easy.
It's going to be rough practice.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so free agency, it was not done. Not that the Knicks acquired anybody that's going to make a big difference, but we found out a lot of things in regard to the guys that we knew were going to join this team. And also, last week, we didn't really cover some of the other free agent news that broke last week. So, I decided this week we're going to just quickly go through everything and explain certain things and talk about the players that we acquired this year. We're going to start with the rookie, Quentin Grimes, signed his rookie scale contract. He's going to make $11 million over 4 years with a fifth-year qualifying offer. Jericho Sims signed a two-way contract, which is important. Two-way contracts are ways for NBA teams to get above their 15-player limit during the regular season. They can offer up to two players a two-way contract that will allow them to play in both the NBA and the G League. Two-way contracted players can only spend up to 45 days with the main team. The rest of the contract must be spent in the G League. Sims' deal is for 2 seasons.
Or you have to waive somebody and sign them for the rest of the year.
Right. Which the Knicks did last year.
Yep.
Knicks only used one two-way contract, which on Jericho Sims, which means they have another two-way contract.
Bring Theo home. Good.
Theo didn't sign.
He was
somewhere
with
else?
he was with the Milwaukee Bucks, but for the summer league.
Oh.
He's a free agent now.
Oh, yeah. Actually, this you want to know what my
Unless he's too old.
you want to know what my theory was? The only thing is that I don't know if financially the Knicks can do this, but I know that the Knicks can open up a roster spot by doing this.
I'm listening.
The Knicks currently have Luka Vildoza in an unguaranteed contract. So I was thinking, Luka Vildoza meets the criteria for two-way contract. Why don't they waive him, sign him to that two-way contract, and then somehow they can acquire Frank Ntilikina and make him the 15th player?
I don't think it's happening. I'd be happy.
Bring Frank back, bro. You got one more spot. And if you make Luka Vildoza a two-way player, they can't do it with Frank because he's already played too many years in the league. Put Luka Vildoza on that two-way contract. Give him an opportunity to show what he can in G League and in spot minutes during regular season. And then bring Frank back. You already know what he can offer. You know what he can provide. You lost Reggie Bullock. Who's going to fill that role of 3-and-D besides Quentin Grimes? I just don't know that they can free up the money to do that. So,
yeah. I'm a
I just want to see him.
Pinson advocate.
I just want to see my boy on an NBA team, man. So, Deuce McBride signed a 3-year contract, and we're doing this in the order of of the player signings.
Mm-hmm.
Deuce McBride signed a 3-year contract, with the third year being a team option for close to $3 million. Nerlens Noel. We should have talked about Nerlens Noel contract last year because during our free agency podcast, I was a little upset that the Knicks offered him $10 million a year. His deal actually is not $30 million over 3 years. It's $27 million with the third year being a team option. The contract contains unlikely bonuses that would get him that extra $3 million. So instead of him making $3 million that first year, Nerlens is making closer to $9 million. It's more like $8.5 million that first year. Am I 100% happy that the Knicks started off? We're going to give Nerlens Noel however much money? Nah, not really. But this is still a lot better than what I was originally thinking because it freed up money for them to get other players.
Oh, shoring up that center position.
Yes.
In case of injuries happening again this year.
Well, we got Mitch, we got Nerlens Noel, we got Taj Gibson, and we got Jericho Sims. I think that the 5 spot was not one that we should have been worried about. But I'm not mad at it.
A lot of injuries last year to the 5s.
I mean, between Nerlens and Mitch, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Even Norvell Pell got hurt.
Yeah, but it was for like 30 seconds. Like,
yeah, we had some bad juju with our centers last year.
That's true. That's true. But, you know, with Jericho Sims, I think we could have tried to play that a little bit loose. If we needed to pick up somebody midseason, then we could have did that, I think. Anyway.
Wait. Before we Jericho Sims being the only player in Summer League to rest, kind of like that was kind of a head scratcher to me.
What do you think? You think there's something behind that? You think maybe he's not really in the best of shape?
No. I don't think it's about shape. I don't know if he has like some injury history that we should be concerned about, because for him to be the one player to be resting in Summer League, I'm like, but him being on the two-way definitely gives us some more insurance. So I'm fine with the Nerlens signing, and I love Sims, so him basically taking over Norvell Pell's spot, I'm happy with. But I just thought I should mention that because that was kind of strange.
Right. Yeah, that was kind of strange. So we started off this pod talking about Kemba Walker. He signed a 2-year fully guaranteed contract for $18 million. No options, neither team nor player option. No non-guarantee or anything like that. Additional. No trigger dates. Just straight up, we're gonna pay you $9 million a year. You're welcome.
That's respect. I like that.
So he essentially gave up $2 million to come play for the Knicks.
Mm-hmm.
The contract details for Evan Fournier's contract. He was acquired from Boston via sign and trade. We received 2 future second-round picks and gave the Celtics a $17 million traded player exception. And yeah, you don't really need to think too much about that, y'all. The TPE is basically you can use this amount of money to sign a player or multiple players with your exception. You just have to use it before the year is over. So,
or make a trade for a player and then because you have the exception, it doesn't have to be match salaries.
Right. So that is really helpful for Boston, and if they decide that they want to swing a significant trade in midseason, they can now do so.
That's going to be helpful
for them. We received the New Orleans Hornets top 55 protected 2023 pick. Not great.
It's just a trade piece.
The worst of these 2 picks. This is going to sound confusing. The worst of OKC or Washington's second-round pick, or the better of Miami or Dallas's second-round pick. Whichever pick is worst out of all of those, that is what the Knicks will get.
Which I don't mind either. We have a full rotation of players. We don't really need.
Well, the picks are trade fodder. Like we weren't picking up these. We got I don't know how many second round picks, but we have a lot of second round picks, and it's not so that we can
make draft picks. It's for trades.
Yeah. It's for trades, whether it be to trade into the next season or to trade for a player, to bolster a package, whatever it is.
Mm-hmm.
That's what they're for.
Yeah, very little value, but if you add a bunch of them together, they could have a little bit of value.
Fournier's contract is a 4-year deal starting at $18.6 million, which includes $6 million in bonuses throughout the entire contract. So even though I just said it's $18.6 million, his first year, if he doesn't get those incentives, it's really going to be $17.1 million. So that's pretty ideal.
And some footage on him. He's looking worth every single dollar. He's probably going to be a more impactful signing than Kemba. When we look back at this season, I feel like, because he's really, really talented. He's a big shot maker.
Yes.
He provides more defense than Kemba does. I feel like he's going to be a really, really important player for us this year.
I think he's going to be a very important player for us. I think he's better than, well, it's not saying much. He is better than Reggie Bullock as a player, as an overall player. He provides more offensively, and even though he doesn't provide the defense that Reggie Bullock provided, I am comfortable in saying that the Knicks starting lineup is better because it includes him instead of Reggie Bullock.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people saying, oh, maybe the Knicks signed him for too much money. He is getting paid worse than what he should, in my opinion.
Yeah.
He's not getting paid. It's not like we're paying him. I don't even think he's getting paid starter money with that, like 17.6. It's not starter level money. Like that's end of your starting rotation, start of your bench rotation money. Like that's a six man money. Like I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at that. I'm not mad at paying him 17.6 for the first year. He plays above that, in my opinion. He shoots well. He playmakes. He's a good player. He's asked to do a lot of things that he shouldn't have been asked to do in Orlando. And then he came into Boston, and Boston, the way they run their offense is a little shaky. I think that when he comes to the Knicks, when he plays for the Knicks, it's going to be, you guys are going to see why they signed him to that contract. And you're going to be like, damn, that was a bargain.
Yeah.
Mark my words.
He's going to provide for us what we wanted Austin Rivers to provide last year.
Yeah, actually. I agree with that.
He's going to be steady on offense. He's going to provide effort on defense. He's going to provide secondary playmaking, shooting. He's just going to be very steady. You're not going to have too many, if any, plays where you're like, what was that? You're not going to be questioning his decisions because he makes good decisions on the court, and he is a
specifically when he's not being asked
efficient
to
player.
Be the primary playmaker,
which
he's going to be. He's going to be our third or fourth option on the court behind Kemba, Julius Randle, and he'll be splitting that third spot, I think, with RJ. It's not going to be a real number three. It's going to be RJ, and it's going to be Evan Fournier, depending on matchups and depending on who looks better doing it.
Yep.
Taj Gibson, about 3 days ago, the Knicks restructured his contract. They were going to give him a vet's minimum within, the team's salary cap. The Knicks decided, no, we're actually going to offer you the full room exception for $10.1 million over 2 years. Now the room exception is a 4.8 exception that teams can use. Teams who are under the salary cap coming into the season, which the Knicks were. Teams who are under the salary cap can use that to sign players once they have reached their cap limit. So Taj is going to make more money than what he was going to make with the veterans
overall.
Minimum. And the Knicks were able to sign him once they had reached their salary cap and are able to guarantee him 2 years. Actually, I think the second year might not be guaranteed, but even still, it's a 2-year contract as opposed to the 1 year that he's been getting. And that is how you incentivize and repay players who have been have played a vital role into your team. Like, Knicks didn't have to do that, but they did because Taj was key for us last year as that third string center.
Mm-hmm. And he's vital in terms of chemistry in the locker room, veteran leadership.
Yep.
If you want Obi Toppin to be one of the most productive players on your team, he's going to be learning from Taj Gibson and Nerlens Noel. So all the experience that Taj Gibson has gotten over the years, he's passing that all down to Obi.
Right.
Everything that he knows, he's going to be passing down to Obi to help him become a better NBA player. I'm happy to see him coming back. And can you imagine if the Knicks win a championship with Derrick Rose and Taj Gibson and Tibbs? That's going to be one of the greatest NBA stories, I feel like, in my opinion.
French.
Wishful thinking.
French, yo. You popping popcorn over there?
It's raining. I can't do nothing about that.
Oh, man. I'm like, yo,
It's gonna be a hurricane.
It's raining that hard? Like, damn.
Everybody I know got an Amber Alert.
We got a state of
Weather
emergency
watch.
going on.
Yeah, it's supposed to be a big hurricane. They talking about clearing the area, but I paid too much rent for that. Hopefully the Wi-Fi don't shut out while we're recording.
Nah, we got this. All right, we'll quickly breeze through this because we still got a little bit to talk about.
Yeah, because I'm getting nervous now.
Derrick Rose was signed. Alec Burks was signed. Knicks then signed Dwayne Bacon and Amir Sims to contracts. Now, these contracts, I believe, are both Exhibit 10, but I'm not entirely sure. Dwayne Bacon's contract includes an Exhibit 10 clause. What is Exhibit 10? Exhibit 10 contracts are offered to players to allow them to join the main roster for training camp and allow them to join that team's G League roster once training camp is over without being poached by another team. So basically, Dwayne Bacon is not going to be in that one of those 15 players.
Yeah.
He's not even going to be one of the 17 players because they didn't offer him a two-way because he's not eligible for that.
Yeah.
So basically, this is just a way for the Knicks to pay Dwayne Bacon, have him part of the team during training camp, and then have him play for the G League. team.
Yeah.
I believe
Another-
Amir Sims also has an Exhibit 10. And you were about to say what?
Another strong defender to help the guys get ready throughout preseason.
Yep.
And then he's gonna head down to the G League. I'm actually interested to see the G League Knicks this year.
Yeah, I think
the guys that are on two ways, and Quentin Grimes is probably gonna be down there if he's not a part of the rotation. Deuce McBride's probably gonna be down there if they're not part of the rotation. So I'm gonna be really wanting to see because this was like my favorite summer league to watch ever.
And MJ Walker is probably going to be down there too because he was just signed to a contract yesterday, which is also probably going to be either Exhibit 10 or he's part of the Knicks. He's probably going to be there during training camp and then go to the G League.
And
he was part of the summer league team. So, and now the Knicks have 19 players out of 20, so they can add one more player if they want. Frank Ntilikina. And
add Frank to the G League team. Fuck it. What happened to Miles Powell? He's not on the team no more, right?
I don't think he is.
Yeah, give Frank his spot.
So this week, the Knicks held a press conference for Kemba Walker and Evan Fournier, which I didn't know nothing about it. I got a text from you saying, yo, the Knicks got a press conference today.
Yeah.
I completely missed it. I ended up watching it later that night, but
Fat Joe was there.
Yep.
In a Kemba jersey.
Yep. They gave Kemba a nice coming home service. Evan Fournier was there too. It seemed more like the Kemba Walker show with Evan Fournier because
to be expected though.
Because basically Kemba grew up here. He's a Bronx native.
Former All-Star.
Grew up in the city. Had a lot of crazy moments in the Garden before becoming an NBA player, and even in the NBA, he's had some crazy moments in the Garden. You know, this is kind of how you have to do it. They had a little press conference. Then they took some questions at the end. Kemba Walker claimed to be super healthy. Felt like it was the best. He felt as good as he's felt in a long while because he didn't play as much. He missed the playoffs. He didn't do anything during the off season. Didn't play in Olympics or anything like that. So I don't remember anything from Evan Fournier that was particularly notable.
I do.
What was that?
The fact that Kemba was such a team player that even in the press conference he kept giving glowing reviews about Fournier.
Oh, yeah.
They weren't asking him no questions. There was all questions pointed towards Kemba, and he kept bringing up Evan Fournier to, like, show, like, he's going to be a big part of this team, too. He's going to provide something for this team that y'all are just glancing over that right now because it's my press conference, but he's been showing out, and he's going to show up this year. He's been wanting to play for this team, too. Just ask him some questions, and to see that in the very first press conference, I'm just like, yo, this is going to be a beautiful season. Because if he's doing that in the very first press conference at home, where he's from, where he's been wanting to play for years, passionate about, and he still don't want the moment to be about himself, he's still trying to bring his teammates involved, like, that this season, we're going to see Kemba as a leader for the first time, and we're going to see why he had that great team chemistry. If we don't bring back Theo Pinson, I could see Kemba filling his role beautifully, as well as being the starting point guard.
I remember Kemba even saying that, making sure to note, we're going to fit in because we are not selfish players. We both want to pass. We both want to give the ball up. We don't need the ball in our hands.
Right.
Which
That's what
didn't
you want to
need
hear.
to be said, but you want to hear that.
You want to hear that?
We're not going to be worried about who's gonna have the ball in their hands. No, like Julius Randle probably needs the ball in his hands, but you can give it to Kemba, and you know that he's going to pass it out if he needs to, or he's just going to play decoy and let Julius get the space that he needs to get to the rim or to pull up from three or from the mid range. And Evan Fournier is also a threat. So I'm just really excited to see how this is going to play out during the regular season.
I'm so glad there's only 2 weeks left of August, man. I can't wait to get into September and start this preseason up, and then get into October and then start the regular season, man. I just want to see this team on the court already.
All right, so we're going to finish up, and then we're going to close up. Next season schedule, regular season is announced. Knicks open up against the Celtics, the Boston Celtics, on October 20th. We found out 11 of the Knicks' first 19 games will be at home. 12 of the first 17 games are going to be against the non-playoff teams from last season. 29 Knicks games will be nationally televised. When's the last time that we had that many nationally televised games?
I mean, it's a great accomplishment, but I'd rather watch Mike Breen and Claude Frazier at MSG.
It said every Knick fan who saw that we have 29 nationally televised games.
Like, if we're going to be nationally televised on ABC and all that, put Mike Breen and Doris Burke, and I'll be happy. if you're going to force us to watch these games there.
Right. Yeah, I would rather, put them on. Don't put on, don't do no dumb-ish like
Richard Jefferson.
That's exactly who I was going to say.
Please.
Do not put Richard Jefferson on there.
Don't put
Please,
none of these. Even if you're going to
Terrible.
put a comedian, put Channing Frye there. I'd be happy listening to Channing Frye.
We didn't even talk about announcing that last game.
Right?
That would, the Knicks need to bring him up.
Yeah.
Former Knick Channing Frye. Let him announce some games, Let him be let him be Clyde, once Clyde retires or whatever. I am down for that. Channing Frye is a comedian, man.
And Alan Hahn is like Alan Hahn. You hear me? I'm acting like Alan Hahn is
Alejandro.
It's seeming to shoot up the ESPN ranks. If you really want to give him a look on them ESPN Knick games. Let him be commentating on those games too. I don't want to hear none of these other guys. Please spare me. Please.
So this year is gonna feature the NBA's 75th anniversary. I was looking on the site. They said, 75th anniversary of the first game, which I think is on November 1st, but they're going to have about 5 anniversary games. Knicks are going to be in 3 of them.
I wonder what kind of jerseys they're going to have for that.
It's probably going to be like the original
classics.
Knicks jersey. Yeah. A classic Knicks jersey.
Right. Those that just got leaked.
You're right. The Raptors, who weren't part of the league until 95, but there was a Toronto team that was before that. I think they were called the Huskies.
Yeah.
That's probably what the Raptors are going to wear. And the Knicks will play the Raptors on November 1st. The Knicks will then play the Warriors, the Golden State Warriors, on December 14th. And last, they'll play the Celtics on December 18th. And lastly, Knicks face the Atlanta Hawks
on Christmas
Day.
Day at noon. That's going to be a beautiful way to start Christmas. Let's get payback on them. At home,
I'm with it.
That's going to be an intense game right there.
For sure. Because you know what the storyline is going to be. Is Julius going to show up? Are the Knicks going to show that they're a fluke? Is Atlanta going to show that they're a fluke? Like, who's going to come out?
That's going to be a good game. That might.
I could see that happening for sure.
The fact that none of them playoff games went to overtime still astounds me, because those were competitive games.
Yeah, I don't want to think about the playoffs. All right, so
it was tough.
Yeah, so me and French were discussing before we started recording. So originally, season 1 of the Knicks Take podcast, I was saying should go to 25 episodes. We're at episode 22, which means that we somehow got to come up with 3 more episodes before we decide to have a break and then wait for the next. Due to, how do I want to phrase this, French?
Our father Ayaka, we brought him up on the podcast before. He's been going through a lot of difficulties due to his illness.
Mm-hmm.
He's supposed to be in hospice care right now, but he's decided to live his final days out at home. So right now it's just a lot going on. It's a lot going on outside of the Knicks world. So it's.
I don't know if that's how I would have phrased it, but
that's the only way I could phrase it. My bad.
But yeah, there's a lot of things with our dad who, the way things are right now, we just have to enjoy the time that we have with him, which could be for a while, could not be, but we can't guarantee that we're going to be able to record over the next few weeks. Even the next 3 weeks, which would be up to 25 episodes, we can't guarantee that. So there's a possibility that this is the last episode of season 1 of the Knicks Take podcast. If you don't see anything from us next week, just assume that we're not going to put out anything until October.
We'll definitely update y'all on the socials.
Keep checking the Twitter, the Knicks Take at the Twitter. Keep checking that. Keep checking Facebook. We'll let y'all know. But like I said, if you don't see us randomly Sunday, Monday, Tuesday comes out, you don't see nothing from us, just assume that season 1 is over, and just be on the lookout for us on October. I think that's all we can say. Sounds like the rain is starting to attack French at his home, so we're going to get out of here. I've got nothing to plug. French?
I'm ready to unplug.
All right. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all. Please say prayers for our father, Ayaka. Thank you. Love you, Dad. We love y'all for listening. Thank y'all for listening.
Y'all. All over the world y'all listening from.
Yeah. Thank you. Peace.
We're going to see y'all either in the next episode or see y'all for season 2. Either way, when we see y'all, it's the same love and energy, and we're going to be better off next time. Season 2 is going to be nasty. I know that for sure, though. It's going to be intense. We're going to come into season 2 with just be on the lookout. You'll see.
All right, sign out before you get hit struck by lightning or something. Deuces.
Yeah.
Peace.
That intro music was Broadway Boo by Gotti B, formerly known as Bugatti Blade. You can find us on Twitter at The Knicks Take. You can also find us on Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube. Thank you for listening.